Hello you guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I am coming to you from Montego Bay, Jamaica. This video I'm actually going to be sharing with you guys habits that I feel like have allowed me to make six figures in my first full year of work. So let's get into it. A key habit that I feel like I have made and I'm trying to continue to make to really just support my financial wealth journey is investing in myself, but financially. Like a lot of the time we do talk about investing in yourself, and we talk about reading books, listening to podcasts and stuff, but at a certain point to wealth creation where you actually need to start investing money into your development, and not just like a book here and there. But before I would just never do. I feel like I was really stingy with like investing in myself financially. A lot of it comes from growing up with like a poverty mindset where you're just like, if I can do this by myself, even if it takes me 10 days, I don't see the value in paying someone who can do it, in one day. Like that mindset can't follow you through to financial wealth and abundance. I've done like general courses, but I also, like you guys know, that I did the Harvard Business School course. That was like a big investment into myself financially. Actually, before I did that course, that business course, I was actually looking into hiring a business coach, and I think the price that I was quoted was about like £500 per session, and I was like bracing myself to like be okay with that. One of my favorite people that I always talk about, like who inspire me so much on this I guess financial wealth journey, is Lavish Ruby. And I remember being in uni and she was like paying over like $1,000 for a business coach in uni, and I was just like, that could never be me. Like, you can't save your way to financial wealth and financial abundance. Like, you need to, there does reach a point where you actually have to start taking the money that you're earning and investing that back into yourself financially. And that is something that I saw her doing, and I was rewatching her vlogs like recently, and I was like it makes sense now that she's a millionaire. So when I started watching her, she was just a regular uni student who had multiple side hustles, and then I saw her hit six figures, and then I saw her hit seven figures, and I believe she's hit 8 figures this year as well, which is like £10 million of revenue in a year. And like that's one of the key principles that I learned from her. Like from a young age, she was taking all the money that she was making in her side hustles and reinvesting that into herself financially. Stop making short-term money decisions. For example, you're a uni student and you have like a Sainsbury's part-time job that's kind of helping you get through uni, and so because of that, you decide that you don't want to you want to apply to internships and graduate jobs, but you don't make that leap because you're like, actually, well, I have this job that it's giving me money now, so I need to focus on that now. In the short term, you might be making more money than your peers, and that might be motivating you. Your peers are now getting graduate jobs that are earning in their first year 2 times as much as what you made in those 3 years, and that could have been you, but because you were so focused on the short-term money that you can get, you completely disregarded preparing for the long term. If I can relate this to myself, being in banking, like there are definitely some areas of banking that are have a bit more higher status, have a bit more prestige, and in those areas like you typically do get higher bonuses as well, but the hours you have to work to get those higher bonuses are kind of crazy. I had like interviews and stuff lined up for that, but I was like, yes, I would make more in the short term, but I always knew that I can make more in the long term by being able to start my own side hustle. That was a decision that I had to make, to actually forego a seemingly higher pay right now, knowing that in the long term that I would be making more. And it actually didn't take that long. Like I have made more than I would have made if I had gone with the short-term decisions that everyone was making, which also got to keep a lot more of it post-tax as well. And I think to make those decisions, you really kind of have to have a rough idea of where you want to be. And I feel like that's one thing that has always helped me so much in my decision making, is I always have I don't have my life all figured out at all, but I do know like a certain level of financial abundance that I want for myself, and because of that, like these guiding principles of just kind of what I want my life to look like in 5 years time. Like you guys saw, like I did that video, right? 2, 3, 4 videos ago when I was literally drawing up my 5-year plan, and things like that have allowed me to be able to make those longer term decisions rather than like really snappy short decisions. Reducing other people's opinions and studying more the people who you actually want to be like. And this is something that I learned I think around my first, second year of uni, where I was getting so much advice on like what I could do in the future, and it was conflicting, and I was so confused. Like, okay, but this person said if I enter into this area, then this is the best place, and this is where all the future growth is going to be, and this is the place that I need to be. And then I spoke to this person, and they said that no, like do this. This is the place where you need to be. And I was so confused with all of the advice that I was getting. And I remember, like, I don't know if someone said it to me or it just clicked in my head, like, okay, but which one of these people do you actually want to be like? Because if you actually want their situation in 10 years time, then that is the person that you should be taking advice from. I think that this is something that the internet is so bad at doing. Like, everyone is so easily offended about other people's choices because they feel like they have to take on the opinion of people like me making a YouTube video. You don't have to agree with this video, and what you do when you don't agree is you just don't listen. You just close your ear, you click off the video, you exit, you know? Me going to fewer people with my ideas and my thoughts has enabled me to produce and create a lot more, and that has supported my journey. So for example, like the resource bank, I always talk about the resource bank, and if you don't know, the resource bank is my like online digital resources store that helps people to get into not just banking. Before I used to just say banking, but honestly the testimonials that we get nowadays, people are using it to apply to a range of different careers and different industries, which is absolutely great. But I remember, like, when I had that idea, I actually didn't have the idea. I was speaking to a friend of mine who was just like, you know that there are people who are charging for what you're giving away for free. And I was like, I didn't have people around me at that time who were telling me like this is not a good idea, but I then heard after I had already kicked things off that certain people had opinions on who does she think she is to charge for XYZ. And like, I would say like maybe less than 6 weeks after me starting the resource bank, I would say at least 10 people made replicas of their own versions or whatever. I'm absolutely confident that of those people who started their own similar things, that they were probably one of the people, some of them were probably amongst those who had negative things to say, like, and I can filter out opinions of people who, situations I don't want to be out. So like this, like, more of like a standard thing that everyone always says, but it has to be said, and that is just learning. Like, I was going home from work, it was like about 9:30, and I was getting an Uber home, and I was speaking to this Uber driver, and he was telling me that he had worked in banking for 18 years. And so I was like, okay, like, you know, how did you end up as an Uber driver? He was doing something to do with like mortgages or something for a very long time at a retail bank, and eventually like was kind of made redundant. A lot to do with COVID as well, and also just a lot to do with automation and his job being able to be done by a computer essentially. And then he also struggled to then like kind of like get jobs elsewhere, because like if it's automated in one place, then obviously it can be automated in a number of different places as well. And that kind of just reinforced to me like why it's so important to like upskill yourself, like learn new things and stay abreast of stuff. It's just like with social media, like a lot of people, even still now, like a lot of more corporate like established institutions are very opposed to like social media, and like it's so funny, like related to the last point on opinions, like being a banker and being on social media, people are always like, oh my god, like what are you doing, like you can't do that in a bank and blah 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 blah. But then you find it so funny that like there's another side of things where like a lot of these, like let's say like especially like these startup firms and stuff, they are begging for people who know how to, who have this skill of like using social media to be able to grow their presence and grow their brand. And so being so shut off from that and even like at work sometimes, like a lot of these new companies that you're seeing, you know, they're using things like influencers, and then you kind of get, you know, certain people at work who's like, what is this influencer thing, like how is this company like being able to do this? And they you know, they even find it, some people may even find it, you know, difficult to understand the new business structures of the world, because they don't want to, not they don't want to, but they just might not be keeping up with learning how, you know, society is changing and things are changing. And so this is one thing that I feel like is so key to like continuing the journey of wealth creation, is like just being open to learning new things. This practical way to like continue learning as well. And this is something that I try to do, and I do, and I want to do more and more, is also just like learning from people who aren't doing the same thing that you're doing. Like, I rarely listen to podcasts of people who are in corporate. Like, I don't really listen to, I don't think I listen to any corporate podcast, because I already do it like you know, daily. Most of my time goes towards that. So I listen to people who do coaching or fashion or you know, just different fields, and it's really nice to be able to just pour your knowledge and like expand your knowledge through just like learning about different things and different people's journeys. Most important one of the most important things that I've learned like over the past year or so, and you have to be okay with starting things and being okay with letting them fail as well, and accepting that they might fail. I feel like one thing that stops a lot of people from just doing things that would probably just, you know, cause such a, like, you know, a change in their life is they're so afraid to fail. Like, what if I start a YouTube channel and no one subscribes? That was kind of me for a very long time. What if I start a blog and no one subscribes? What if I start a business and I can only maintain it for 5 years, and after 5 years, you know, I have to sell it? Or it's just like, so we're just so afraid of failure that we'd rather just take the risk of like just not accomplishing anything at all because we were so afraid to fail. People who you see do really, really well financially, especially like they say in the business and entrepreneurship world, they always say that they've had multiple failed businesses beforehand. And it's not just, and like saying it like that makes it sound like bad. It's like, oh my god, I don't want to be that person who has multiple failed businesses. But sometimes like you don't have to start everything for it to be a long-term thing. Sometimes you literally, it's okay to just start things just to learn from them. Like I have started so many things where I'm like, in the long term, do I see myself doing this? No. YouTube is one of them. Do I see myself doing this in 5 years time, 10 years time? Probably not. But I'm still starting it now because it's interesting. And if I stop doing it in 5 years time, that doesn't mean I'm a failure. It just means that I started something and I learned loads and it brought me so many benefits, and then I moved on to something else, and that is completely okay. And some people are so afraid to like move from their job because they're like, what if I start a new place and I don't like that either? But it's like, okay, but at least now you know that you don't like that thing, right? Speaking about starting new things, this year I've actually been working on building like a planner, a digital one as well for myself that will serve me like for the rest of my life, like something that I can just create and then just use continuously, because you know, finding new diaries every single year, and also just like I love pen and paper, but there's also like some restrictions in just being able to do certain things and edit in things and add things, and you know, there's just like a certain flexibility that digital gives you, being able to like just search for a word, or you know, just like amending and creating without having to like rip out pages. And I also am someone who, I don't like clutter, so I don't keep my diaries from 2-3 years ago. I would love to, but I just don't. In my mind, I'm just like in with the old, out with the new. And so you guys know, I have actually been using Notion for like over a year now, maybe even going to like 2-3 years now actually. Last year I showed you guys like, you know, what my planner, what my Notion planning, goal setting planning was looking like. He was asking for templates and I didn't really share one at the time because, to be honest, like it wasn't very good. But this, like over the last few months, I've been working with a developer to really use tools and everything that is in Notion to create for myself an intentional life planner, an intentional digital life planner that I can use for the rest of my life. And I have decided that why not make that available for use for other people as well. So one thing that I've had to do for that product is create a new website. Alright you guys, so I just wanted to show you what my landing page that I designed for my new product looks like. I love it. It's so clean, so simple, and it was so easy to make. I'm also working on the full site using e-commerce templates provided by Xyro. Actually, both the landing page and the e-commerce website are using Xyro, as they are super affordable and easy to use. They have a range of templates that you can choose from. So I use the landing page one for my landing page, and I'm going to use the e-commerce one to actually allow people to purchase things on the site. I just used the drag, and I literally created the page in like less than 2 minutes. Literally less than 2 minutes. It has like really easy drag and drop editing that you can use, and it also has these like grids that you can use to edit, like place things and like have things aligned really, really well. And if you need any support, they have like a 24/7 live chat available. So this was super, super easy to create. On the e-commerce site, I think I'm just going to connect Stripe for payment, which Xyro allows you to do. And yeah, it's been a really fun experience creating this site. And you can start creating websites on Xero from less than $3 a month with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So you can use it for your resumes, your portfolio, your businesses. Literally, there are so many options. And if you choose a good template as well, you will have minimal work to do, just like I did. And there is a limited time offer for Black Friday. So use my code LAMIDE, LAMIDE. I'll put it up on the screen, and you can get up to 88% off plus 3 months free with any Xero yearly plan. This has helped me to the point where I am now of like, you know, making 6 figures in my first full year of work is consistency. Consistently making choices based off of the future that I want for myself and not based on what other people think that I should be doing. Consistently learning from other people, from other people's journey, from people in different industries. Consistently investing in myself financially and making huge investments in myself financially, and consistently observing those who I aspire to be like. Consistency is the key. It's literally like one of the most fundamental things to achieving any sort of success you want in your life, in whatever remit that is. So yeah, that is like my final thing that I would, you know, remind you guys of if you are taking that journey next year and you really say, I really want to elevate myself financially, I really want to get to that next step. Whatever the goals that you write down, if you want to save 50% of your income, or you want to start, you know, investing, and you want to start looking into property, just make sure whatever you're doing it consistently. You're being consistent with yourself, because that is the only way you will yield those results that you really, really want. That is it from me for this video. I hope it was helpful to someone, to anyone. Let me know if you have any questions down below. I will leave the link to Xero if you want to build your website, your business website, on there as well in the description box. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.